Good morning. Happy Thursday. We got kind of a little better than a sideways day today, but second or third day of the war or whatever, reignition of hostilities, however you want to call it or whatever you want to call it. I'm just jumping on here.
Second or third day.
So it looks like people can hear me over there, and X, just checking on my live stream there. Welcome, whether you're listening on X or YouTube Live. Appreciate it. I got to get my TikTok and maybe even my Kick stream going here as well. But anyway, market's been open about 8 minutes here. NASDAQ up 0.52. Dow down a little bit, 0.12. Hey, Coachmaster GM, good buddy from X, coming at me from YouTube, which I appreciate because I don't have very many followers on YouTube, so that definitely helps me. So I appreciate everyone listening there live or on stream. If you do like or follow, I don't know what to tell you to do to help me on YouTube. I haven't been paying much attention, but appreciate you, Coachmaster GM, early with my boy over there from the West Coast. Super early over there, but S&P up a third. We also have oil, which tells the whole story, $73. Now, it has come down 0.63%, 46 cents, or almost 3/4 of a point. So that's good, but we are sitting at 73. Don't forget, we didn't hear much about the war for a couple of weeks, and we were down to like $68. So that is something to keep in mind. SpaceX, 149.81. We got big unlocks coming up, though. Employee unlock coming up, I think, this month or next month. I think next month. Maybe that'll be a good opportunity to buy a little. STRC, 86.18. Since the whole selling and the whole plan from Michael Saylor we talked about a lot the last few weeks, holding okay at 86. They want their par to be 100, of course, but I think part of that will be what happens with obviously Bitcoin price, right? Bitcoin itself, we're looking at 62,521, up 1.1%. This is the daily chart. So not as bad as, yesterday. We kind of were the recipients of some of this bad news with the war going on, but it's holding up okay, holding up decent, I think, all things considered. Ethereum, 1738. It's even for the day. XRP, $1.09.62. Let's call it $1.10. Up 1.2%. And Solana, which has been kind of leading the last month or so, $77.74, up half a point. So I would say we're holding, I was just looking down this picture looks good. I've got horrible lighting in here. I was going to do this from my office. We're on a country club, got a golf course, right? We're sitting right on one of the holes, 9th hole or something. We've got beautiful mountains behind us, but I have not made it in once. My old house was 3 minutes from the office. Now I'm like 35 minutes, so I don't go in that much. But anyway, I'm going to upgrade my lighting and stuff. I just kind of set this up temporary just to get it going. But sorry, choking on my drink here. Anyway, yeah, I think this is going to be the vibe today. I think it's kind of going to be sideways. You never know. Something could happen. Trump could announce something tomorrow. Talked a little bit about the Ansem. That's that meme coin that kind of popped off. Got up to almost $500 million. Supply controlled creator coin. It got, what are we looking at? The 1 hour chart. So we dipped down, it looks like, to 242. I was buying the dip a little bit around 260, 270, and it's all the way up to 335.50. I got up to 355, so that's decent. I know, I guess he didn't tweet or something for a day or two. People started to panic. course, my buddy's coin, the Bitcoin Bull. These charts do not work good on Deck Screener. Anyway, it's 4.7. It's up 23%. It saw a range yesterday of, I'm just guessing, I'd say around 3 million up to about 6 million, kind of playing in that price range. But 546,000, had almost $1 million volume. My buddy Jason AI Williams, his Twitter handle at Going Parabolic, of course. He did his show. I think the first time he ever hosted a space, a late one last night. Thousands of people were on there. I think that's, I told him that should do it. But I may be delusional, but I'm thinking people who make money on Anson, especially if it keeps going up or whatever, whether you missed it or whether you made money on it, you're going to be looking, what's the next one? I think it might be this. Jason's got, 300,000 followers on X. He's written a best-selling book, Bitcoin Hard Money You Can't F With. Got some motion out there. A lot of people know him, and I don't think it's even people really realize. We got about 1,000 holders, 1,033 holders. It's growing. I think this thing's got some legs. I think this could go into the tens of millions, but we'll find out. He's sitting on his look, if you go to holders here, his dev wallet looked like he's given away about 0.7% so far. It was 70%. But that's $3.2 million he's just going to give away. If that hits, the other day that was a 5.5. It hits 10 million. That's almost 7 million he's giving away. Hits 100 million. That's 70 million he's giving away. He's just keeping the creator fees, I assume, and he's already got a lot of money. I remember back in the day when Bitcoin was 3,500, 4,500, 5,500, he'd buy 50, 100 clips a day and post it, This guy's been around for a long time. Plus, he had kind of helped invent the whole critical care fast med thing. Sold that for, that company, I think, sold for over $500 million. That's back in like 15, 17, something like that. So anyway, guys, I think it's got good potential. I'm buying. I bought the dip yesterday for sure. Of course, I got in at 150,000, 158,000 market cap, but I've been buying more. Sold a little bit, bought some groceries, put on my CoinZoom card, bought some groceries the other day. I did it again last night at Trader Joe's. Anyway, all good. But let's jump into the news and what's going on here. Fear and greed at 20. That feels about right. We just dipped out of extreme fear. Finally got to 26 here today. That was short-lived, but that feels about right to me. We're kind of holding out okay, but we don't know what's going on. Extreme fear 20. That feels like about what it should be today. Sometimes it's off, but that, till we see what happens. We see the markets kind of shaking off the some of the fears of the war. So we'll see. Of course, oil, because I don't believe anything I read anyway. But oil, I think, tells the story. Keep an eye on Bitcoin price. Keep an eye on the indexes, the Dow Jones, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and keep an eye on oil. That's going to tell the story more than the propaganda they're trying to feed us. Bank of Japan official says Japan may rapidly hike rates above 2% this year. Former BOJ official warned Japan may speed up rate hikes to above 2% as this year as the yen slides. It's currently at 1%, the highest interest rate they've had since 1995. But the yen to the dollar is the lowest in 40 years. So it hurts our risk assets, including Bitcoin and crypto, when they take that liquidity out of the market. They used to have a thing called the yen carry trade, where people would borrow at 0% interest for decades, and then put it into the T-bills or something else and make that arbitrage. But no more, man. SWIFT, which is, of course, the 50-year-old plus thing that we all had to rely on through the banks, they unveiled a blockchain-based system today for 24/7 cross-border payments, 17 global banks. So they're trying to do it. I'm sure they'll have, it's all about that international remittance, which is almost $1 trillion a year. But I can promise you SWIFT isn't going to be the dominant player. They're doing this just to hold on to some market share, because now everyone can use a chain like Solana, and you have fast, cheap transactions, right? especially with the new upgrade. Solana's going to have, the transactions in the blink of an eye, like 150 milliseconds. And then we saw yesterday, BNB is coming out with a similar deal as well. So they're hanging on. It's cool they're doing it, but they're not going to be the dominant player, in my opinion, by any way, shape, or form. The IGRC issued a statement declaring Iran has established control of the Straits of Hormuz. Bullcrap. They might be. Who knows? Oil's high. Once again, I don't believe this. Man, Mario is a big propaganda dude these days. I don't know who's doing his writing. Probably just so big because he's probably one of the biggest accounts on X as far as news and spaces. But he just seems a little bipolar. I'm sure he just has. I don't know if this means his writer, Samuel. I don't know if he's putting this out just because he's so bipolar on a lot of his reporting. But anyway, who cares? I mean, it's all propaganda anyway. But I don't know. Maybe it was just because Trump was tired and busting his butt, and it was kind of, you could tell he was very put out, very bothered by the whole thing going on. And so we'll see what happens. I'd love to see it get resolved. I'd love to hear it get resolved today. Let Bitcoin go back. Let's get back to $90 freaking Solana. Let's let Ansem and Bitcoin bull run. Bitcoin, 4.6. Anyway, Mario, man, I don't even listen to Space anymore, but back in the day, crypto dude too. Back in the day, I used to chat with him a lot before he blew up. But BitGo adds quantum protection for institutional Bitcoin wallets. So I love to see people jumping on preemptively getting ahead of this, especially Bitcoin custodies, billions, a lot of wallets. Man, American Bitcoin was supposed to be simple bet on mining and holding Bitcoin. Instead, the Eric Trump linked company is down more than 95% from its peak, wiping out $600 million from the value of his stake. So I'm sure Daddy Trump's not real happy. Hopefully they have the fortitude and the vision to stick with it, which I think they do. I think they know this. They know the nature of it, but it got so low that to be on the NASDAQ, you have to maintain a certain share price. They did a 1-for-15 reverse split to stay there. So for every 15 shares of ABC, you now have one. Now, I don't know. I mean, this is why I'm not in Bitcoin mining anymore. And it's feast or famine, not for the faint of heart by any means. They always say they're mining at like 50 cents on the dollar, their Bitcoin. So that's true. Great. Keep it going. When I've heard him talk, I've heard his business partner and stuff. They seem to know what they're doing, but it'll be interesting to see how this tells. But listen, this is the pressure. When Bitcoin's $1 million and you're sitting on the back of your yacht, do not let anybody tell you that it was easy. This is hard. I mean, look, Sailor's freaking, how much income is he taking? Now, Eric, the same thing, right? You're saying Trump made all this money, but they're taking risk too. They're down $600 million on one of their investments. So, piss off is what I have to say. But it's tough, man. It's not easy. It's not easy. And you're not lucky if you're here today. SpaceX linked wallet moves some Bitcoin. First time, people panic. Oh, it's SpaceX, which is one of the largest corporate holders of Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. But, people are always afraid they're going to sell. If they do, big deal. I mean, not great, but I'd like to see them buying, but they're holding. South Korea's SK Hynix is listing on the NASDAQ after its stock surged more than 7x past year. Company is also investing. They're the chip company, and the company is also investing $4 billion in new semiconductor factory in Indiana as it expands its footprint. So they're doing the right model here, right? They're doing what Trump likes. They're putting a plant here that helps create American manufacturing, creates jobs, all the trickle down that has. It also makes us less reliant on foreign factories, things like that. And they get access to the U.S. market. So This model is good for the economy long term. It takes some time, like losing weight, building muscle. Oh, my YouTube live isn't working. I don't know. Coachmaster's over there. You never know. I'm using a process. I'll have to watch it. Interesting. I do see Coachmaster is on there. At least he was. I don't know if he still is. So, yeah, I don't know. Thanks, Sawsbox. I don't know how you say your name. Sawsbo 0x. Man, I've known Sawsbo 0x forever, but yeah, I don't know. I hope I'll have to listen to it and make sure it worked before I repost it. But yeah, I can't really see on the thing I'm using if it does. Yeah, all of them are trash. You're right, absolutely. And I'm using to make it worth, Sawsbo, I'm using a third-party restream so I can combine all my chats and stuff like that. But I did notice that, like, Scott and Mr. Heine, now they may be on a good discussion over on the DigiJoin space, which is fine. But I usually they'll jump on the YouTube, so it might not be. You never know. But I'm also using a third-party interface, which makes the even more trashy. But thanks for letting me know. I'll check it out. I do see quite a few live listeners on X. I kind of monitor that because that's where most of my listeners are. So I keep that open on my phone, but I'll double check and see if that worked or not. So it might have been on when Coachmaster was on, and now it's off. So anything's possible. You never know with those guys if they've shut you off or something. Too, like even TikTok. I was taking pictures of me at the gym, just taking a picture of the TV. Hey, I'm watching World Cup, right? They gave me warning strikes on all those. I did it for 2 or 3 games, only to find out they're giving me strikes and demonetized, shadow banning me and pulling those videos down. All I did was take a damn video. Me, hey, here I am at the gym. Here I'm, here I am on the Stairmaster or the bike or whatever. Here I'm watching some football, and they gave me a strike against it, copyright strike. So anyway, these formats are crap. Yeah, who cares? But anyway, thanks for letting me know. I'll check it out. For all I know, they pulled my stream because they didn't like something. Robinhood, if you buy tokenized stocks, yeah, you can't do anything. Robinhood, there's this big stuff yesterday about the Robinhood and the Cash Cat and all that, but then people started to remember when all these people were freezing accounts. Remember when the whole thing was going on with GameStop and all that? They just all of a sudden wouldn't let anyone transact to kind of save the VCs or whoever. Anyway, yeah, it's not the same, right? I'm not worried about. And I see Ansem coming back 328, right now, got all the way back to 360. I think I'm glad I bought the dip. I really wish I had bought more, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Maybe I'll have another chance. Bitcoin bull 4.5 million. So yeah, let's see what happens. I may be delusional, but I think the Bitcoin bull is going to do good things. I think especially if Ansem keeps going. But yeah, Robinhood and those guys, they can shut you off. They can do all this stuff. So they're centralized. Look, unfortunately, yeah, there's downsides to that. Even CoinZoom, it's KYC. The government could come in and give CoinZoom a order, and they could freeze your funds. That's centralized is not. I mean, we're glad they're adopting, but it's not necessarily the way to go. Initial jobless claims 215, expected 218, previous 215. So good news, less people filing for unemployment. Bad news is now the Fed doesn't have as much reason to not raise rates or maybe lower rates. So this is a situation where good news becomes bad news, at least for money printing and the environment we're kind of looking for. But UK proposed to ban crypto donations to political parties and cut election campaign spending by 15% over dirty money. Push comes after Nigel Farage's reform received 19 million pounds from crypto-linked donors. Yeah, it's huge. Look at what it did for our election. They want to keep control. It's all about control, man. Europe is really between their freaking lax border policies and their crash down on free speech, and they're trying to get rid of crypto. Tether minted $1 billion. Yeah, I didn't see what chain that was. Probably Solana these days, but it could also be Ethereum or even, honestly, even Tron. Those are the three big ones when it comes to USDT. Alpha Bank, Russia's biggest private bank, plans to launch full Bitcoin and crypto service once new regulations are in place. So, hey, we'll see it. Oh, yeah, hey, there's our Heine coin coming from YouTube. We had a couple people couldn't get on, Mr. Heine, so I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'll see you in the Bitcoin GM morning space. You can join me over there. Let's take one last look at the markets. You know, pretty good, I think. I mean, kind of sideways, but listen, the floor we haven't had the rug pulled out from underneath us. Knock on wood here. Just refresh, just take a last step to see where we're at. Yeah, NASDAQ up 0.71, Dow up 0.12, S&P 0.43, oil 72.82. So oil's down almost 1%. Stock market's coming up. Let's take one last look at Bitcoin. We'll pull it up the hourly. Yep, Bitcoin, this is the hourly chart. Bitcoin 63, so that's nice. We got over 63. We're up 1.7 for the day, 0.6. Sosbo said, I heard Mike at 20 today. EUs aren't stopping this. They want the KYC stocks, token. Absolutely. And there was a new news yesterday, we didn't mention it too much, but they're now going after the big custody holders of crypto. So they're doing everything they can to exert control. So, man, thanks for joining me. Looks like YouTube's at least worked for Mr. Heine and whatever. Sorry it didn't work for Sosbo. I'll check it out. Join me on the GM Bitcoin morning show. I think it's going to be a sideways day. If it is, I'll be happy. Get out there and touch some grass. Have a good Thursday, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week.